Testing, 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 testing. Testing, 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 testing. Testing, testing. testing. Can you hear? Hello, testing. Testing, testing. Testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. 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 Testing, testing. Testing, testing. 对不对？你看了，是吧？给你羡慕住，他们给了多了，你给了二了是吧？给那样，你可能给到给你，那别人给的给的，别人给你说一点嘛，可是当然结语呢呀，他妈是有数，我的年嘛年的钱，你干呀结，你写的吧？Oğlum gidiyor, değil mi oğlum gidiyor? This is Chinese mama. Yeah. Really.
Yeah, I don't know where my
Which
table
is on and off for this. So
This is fine. This is fine. It's not Spanish.
Gömdü, geçimler. Gömdü. Gömdü. Tutsana. 딱이란 예술대학교 흘려져 주. 그냥 깔래 주 주.
다 끝내면 되겠네. On off 칠 얘는
야, 그 제도 요새. 딱이란 스트레스 주 주.
tension's also down, so
Great.
finally.
How are you? Good to see you. Do you know where this is supposed to be tuned to?
They just announced it. And
Do they know?
oh, the red shirt guy.
Red shirt. Okay.
Charles. Today we are here so fortunate to have His Holiness the Gyawan Kamapa. On behalf of Dana Foundation, we wanted to welcome His Holiness and all our guests here. Now, Lama Tsang Rinpoche would like to make an opening speech, which is read by Chiang-Ai Rinpoche. And now, actually, Tsongkhapa Rinpoche himself is going to make the opening speech. Today we have His Holiness Gyawan Kamapa, who is the embodiment of compassion and the activities of all Buddhas. We requested him to bestow us the teaching and empowerment. We are deeply grateful that His Holiness agreed to provide us this most valuable teaching, and our members. Your Holiness. We also have many participants coming from different parts of the world, and we would like to take this opportunity to extend them Happy Tibetan New Year. I would like to briefly introduce the activities of Dana Foundation. Health, education, culture preservation, environment, and poverty alleviation. To the Gyawan Kamapa to promote peace and compassion. And to summarize, we once again would like to thank and we wish all of you happy Tibetan New Year and wish all come true. Now we are offering mandala. Today we're here we have a Khen Rinpoche, the member of the Sanghas, Tibetan Buddhists and the Sanghas. And everyone gathered here, I would like to extend my greetings to you all. The Dana Foundation organized this teaching of 8 verses of mind training by Geshe Langje Tarpa, and also Green Tara Empowerment. The Dana Foundation prepared this. Last time, because the Tibetan New Year is approaching, so we have the Tibetans and the people from the Himalayan regions long life initiation of the organized by the Dana Foundation, especially for the Chinese practitioners. And also because of the approaching Chinese New Year. So because the Chinese New Year is approaching, Dana Foundation especially organized this for the Chinese Dharma practitioners. The teaching that we're going to do today is the 8 verses of mind training by Langje Tapa and Green Tara Empowerment. Previously, we also the Tibetan community of the New Jersey and New York organized Dr. Tang Donggyal's long life initiation empowerment, especially for the Tibetan and the Himalayan Dharma practitioners, because to coincident with the approaching Tibetan New Year.
The Masidari Tangara Americalia Dawa Mambuchiria Deguar the Shumre Ane Dream Business to the Tageswa Subsi Yesuya Subsi Ta Luda Sem Yesuya Subsi Nijik Miche and the Michigalia Dawakashe. They are the Shumre. They did so that Mesoya, which in being and Miseki Manso and Dreveki, Lenchar Summer. The public program, the Mise Kasue Tadaba the Soya Mata in Mise that the day Mise Cheche, Losad and Devil Chadi is. Mise Cheche and the Sweshavers.
I have been in United States for a few months already, and my main reason for being here for extended time is to really get rest, to relax mentally and physically. And because of the focus on my resting, we haven't done that much public program. Then today we especially organized this teaching partly because of the Tibetan New Year.
Champanache. The name Dusane and Dindin. That Dangosta Trinche to your my own sample with the chance. Taine the water share, the name Dusane, Tainea, and the church in a Dama Virginia, me say that you should get chair or my name Dusane. And the Lamsatic Chushe Chidusana that Tishin the Jirish I made in Ristu and the Ethol Lazar report. Chidam Machine Subudi Yawishtayo Mare and Titolia Chamber and the Industana and Yawish should have the Kalahabustu Taine and Daji Kazutu Shu.
A few days ago, I offered a long life initiation to the public, and then today I had a cold. Because last night I was thinking, wow, if I can go ahead with this teaching, but then today I feel a little bit better. And since I haven't been giving any teaching for a few months now, and also because I'm not feeling so well today, I didn't know what really should I be talking about. Partly I'm not feeling very well today, and in general my health condition is not that great.
That day, Lojong Sigiyamati Zababa de Gishelan Tambimbre Gishelan Tambas de and the Katambe Givesine Nirajin Shadiore Nantea Katambalia Givesine Gashuda Gishe Potowek Loma 다 닌다 더브 소마베 니마다 나와 더브 스체시 유데베 인두스탄에 안 디나네 다 직디 공차데 요래 드니 인두스탄에 안 라버도 은디 로종 시기에마디 시라기다 가서 로종기 베자 마부에 데베 나네 다 캡캡 치슈스나 다도 다 간다 지 용수 잡아를 차대
Today we are going to teach the Geshe Bodowa's student. Geshe Bodowa has two main disciples, like the sun and like that of the moon. And Lojong Tsigema, the 8 verses of the mind, and its author, Geshe Leng Tapa, is one of the main one of the main disciples of
다들 인도산다 망부치 슈마고체 다들 루유디 어레 안다는 신기
So the Lojong Tsigema, 8 verses of the mind training, is one of the most well-known mind training
링도
teachings.
세나장도 황 천신다지리아 안에 랑타 원아버시제 가다 시에 나부르치 다 시에 나부 스머르듯이 거두이네야 디즈 다 인지게는 the series 스머르다 벽에 돌이 있는 디즈 지게 투 감보를 치주에 되지 그네스 근데 이루서 거두이네 지 시에 대한 준다를 비슷하게 해치지 안 거두이미네 시에 나부 치주 쇼를 제상 안 콜리아 안 미즈 랑당 원아버시지 다 대한 주의 디 가르친 거로서는 다 공기 지기 가수의 지 냠내는 주스탄에 시라기 그런 낸된 전부에 되지 안에 다지 토디 즉 가르쳐야 현래 마유 제제 하장기 다지 로즈 짐제 쇼데에 버지미지 전투 유스래
Geshe Leng Tapa has a nickname, the grim-faced Leng Tapa. Basically, he had a very serious expression, and he is a very kind of a serious-looking person. And basically, he's someone who really is constantly vigilant, looking very serious or thinking very seriously. So the nickname, the somber-faced or the grim-faced Langtama, which is his nickname.
대인주산 다디 로종 디치게마데 버지 다 다신 냠지 스머르 다신 냠바다 다신 제외 다 냠네 조르덴베다 숑루 차데와레 대인주산에 다 디나로 로종 치게메나 마 송샤베디 상로 다지 카즘 칙점 마인바 엔 고랑게 응어수 베제나 수문은 신지 고랑 냠내 나지 다지 냠내 나 샤바티 마 돔직을 체체 전다 도도도도로 디디 에너지 돔직 견세 마송 샤바지 디리시바
The 8 verses of the mind training is primarily a practice of mind training. It's starting with the equalizing oneself with others and then exchanging oneself with others. And so Geshe Leng Tapa not only just write them up in word, but he actually practiced it. And then this is like a more his pithy instruction in terms of how to develop this mind training, and based on his own experience. So this is more experiential teaching.
这上就是老种，这当去年的7月过来了，拉巴多老种年的7月过来，这凑没用了嘛，对吧？极端了嘛，对吧？他看到做的或者年家了的，属于个，这他说的就考得出不起他，他能心给谈到多多了的，人属于空的去不起话的，给什么去查的啊？什么程度？马到人参上啊，就他这别些忙不是的，体育忙不是的，但一年的谈到多多了的，属于个什么呀？我那之内个。속도야 그렇지. 근데 이게 다 냠수 용어로 다는 신기 셰도로 가면 무슨 의미나? 한다 지 그래서 다 뒤기 로종 냠내려야 뱅거요 말이야.
When we really study the mind training and any other teaching, we should really focus on actually the practices, not just focusing on the text and the style of the text, but rather looking at how can we crystallize this teaching and put this into practice. So our focus should be on how I can practice, how I can really critically take this teaching and then put this into practice. So the focus should be really practices rather than kind of a scholarly studies or the study of the text style. If you really do not get the benefit of the practices, then for you, the benefit will be very limited.
가담비 추규세는 라도 가담비 규바 디콘스도 요래 나 가담바사를 그리지에서나 상계입에 송 이게 나지게 말이바 탐지 배 가수다지 배 당화도 캐도바 수수기 지 가수다지 상계의 명화를 봐 냠내 쳐도야 된대지리야 충분히 된대지 냠내 칭이지리야 다 가담바스가 알았어 대미 인두스탄다디 가르순거 알았라면이나 안에 따지 다 야외의 송럽 상계의 송마고 싶죠 알아 따디 공부를 지 가서에 공부의 티를 공부 nen가로 가리면 또 터네 애는 뒤에 가서 창라만 나로 냐면서 근데 지려다 가담바 순거가 대민 뒤 준선 때네 조조디 간당 아주지 다지 가서 냠내게 nen가로 만나로 아니지 마상하면 같이 냠내 채도 거야 돼 개좀 잘해
So this teaching belongs to the Kadamba tradition. Kadamba, the meaning of the literal meaning of the Kadamba is taking all the instructions of a Buddha into practices, literally, really implementing every word of a Buddha's teaching into practices. And so their focus is obviously in the practice rather than intellectual knowledge. And the Kadamba is trying to put everything in practices correctly and without any missing. So from this, obviously, the Kadamba put great effort in perfect practices.
다 될이야. 지금 그래서 쇼로가 게요래. 쇼로가 게부터게 nen가로디. nen가 된다를 지지 된거야랬어. 다 디나는 다 쇼로가 당부디 마슬로비나. 다는 심지어 탐제를 이신노 불려라베. 屯校准备上班，大多基本怎么学是？但第一个小老个第一个看的对我儿是讲，屯大多多看对我儿是呢，就身边他们这一心的诺不勒那边的，他看到了看出来这个咋起不？这基本怎么？等你起来。 로조 차이브레 로조 차오레스 소이브레
So the first the 8 verses of training for mind has obviously 8 verses, and each verse instruct us different practices. So I'll read the first verse. The first verse reads, by thinking of all sentient beings as more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel, for accomplishing the highest aim, I'll always hold them dear. So here, in these first verses, Geshe Lengde Tapa is teaching us how we really treat others, how we really see others, and we really see them as more precious than wish-fulfilling jewels. So mainly, he's asking us to look at all sentient beings as a very precious object.
안다지 심제 디디 메터메바 상계 공방 주야기 안다가나 주베급이야 더미 심제 조 심제 산다도 다 디디 메터메바 다 디게들이야 지 신변검 장심게 전수기 셈검 공발라 때네 안다지 상계 공방 토야지 용고 예빈 주스타는 다 디균선 때네 안다 심전이게 자치부심 차리어스 상계 공방 주변라 자치부 차리 균선데 상계 공방 주변라 다 메타메베기 간다 더지 노브rum스도 차리어스 디 주스탄 디균선 때다 자치부 차리어스.
And then why we see all the sentient beings as the most precious object? This is because without the sentient beings there, we cannot achieve full enlightenment. And it's thanks to the sentient beings helping us to achieve the full enlightenment. So this is because to attain enlightenment, you have to have a bodhicitta. And this bodhicitta, we practice by relying on the sentient beings. Our compassion, our bodhicitta mind is generated with the, our aim to benefit to all sentient beings. Without that, there's no way we can attain enlightenment. So that's why the sentient beings are so important for us to achieve full enlightenment.
다 될래요. 다 지당 심지에 그런 예배섬식이 변경하고 말아요. 지금 아주 토모 매번에 손대. 다 랑다 신사한테 그런 정신이 예배를 심지에 담지야 아 청로 념도 줘야돼. 다 인비네 대 예배섬식이 매편바. 심지에 다 담지래야 제벌 진비기 삼바. 근데 질러라 보래스. 장니 전수그 쌤 되는지래야 아주 라고 스틸 라베이미나 아니 신의 지 가셔에 가서 심지어는 되네 심지어들이야 대체 지금 아주 심지어들이 남주 딱 하는지 상행 잡아 먹고 지용돼 요래 아 상행 잡아 먹고 연주 산에다 저 참참 아주 현담 잡아 채울 거야 니수 두부에 먹은 거래 강에 먹고 채야래 아니 아 참sam지 현은 잡아 채울 때는 아주 편도가 먹고 연돼 요래 다들 조조된 안주기 제가 상당하다고 들래 개발을 줘도 요래 제가 뒤준선 때는 땅 아주 현 심지어 함지래야 제가 상고 샤고래 진 제가 대야 안 들어가지 세다 그래다 안 되지 내가 개변 진짜 제가 좀 많이 봐 다들 아주 오늘 저녁에 다 심지어 지기지래야 제외 삼아 니 제외 삼아 진짜지 제가 샤도 체체 진짜 좀 의미나 아니 신에 가서래 다让他先给全部送走主要是用过来是等于比如说地军战队呢那先接了这边上班了老过下的开什么差的要的是
So here, Geshe Leng Tapa is teaching us how to cherish others, how to cultivate the altruistic mindset. Because we have the sentient beings from the beginningless. So, having sentient beings in the samsara is not just good enough, but how you really kind of cultivate compassion and bodhicitta. Through doing that, it will help us to achieve the highest ends. We constantly create a relationship with others. We have a kind of a temporary relationships with them, or we have more like a worldly concerned relationship with the sentient being. But this is not good enough. To really engage in the proper bodhicitta practices, you really have to create a relationship which is based on compassion, and the relationship that's really benefiting to them. And if we really create this kind of altruistic relationship, it will be beneficial both to us and to others. And so here the main advice is we have to create this cherishing others, the mindset for cherishing others. Through that, it will enable us to cultivate bodhicitta.
chuchu di tenda dum chum du sa de da mi de mi be ru de de la ra le da chi da ge sha de ye bin du sa ne de de jun sen de ne da chi dang ki mi si ki ro dang chi thon she bi ne de na shi le la kem de le ya an da ji ta ba thön do nya ba tham chi ke be ko ma thön do nya ge jing ne she bi mi ne de da ti shi an zu ji让的这心间先这他说的密于心间这个的保留量这不的看着有没就所以这个的呀强不的年纪给上吧月不切按成熟什么这个的光切这就这个上不的切图呢按的这他把他们给为个人抓起但这没不切带了老白带了多切按的这牛毛土松了跟那浪这个这把下边面呢안다 가서에 지 타바 토야사다 안다지 땡기 되게 토야사데 매비므
So in general when we really lead a successful life there are many factors and conditions we have to establish. We have to have a good education. We have to be someone who's able, have a great ability. And on top of that, you also need good fortune. And you also have a good like a financial conditions. On top of that, if you have a good relationship, good networking with others, then you become successful. Of all of these conditions I mentioned, the networking seems like the most important. It maybe like 60% of your success in the just like society relies on your how you really network with others. The networking is very important. So this is a kind of a general life that we lead. But especially in this context, if we are aiming for freeing ourselves from the samsara, if we're aiming for achieving the full enlightenment, then I think the most important thing is we have to cultivate compassion and bodhicitta, our relationship to others, not merely just based on this like financial and others, but most importantly, we have to create a relationship with the other sentient beings that are based on compassion and bodhicitta, benefiting others, the altruistic. This will really help us achieve liberation and enlightenment. Especially, we have to avoid creating relationship that is kind of triggered by affliction. The three poisons: attachment, hatred, ignorance, and so on. If our relationship is forced by these three poisons, then not only we not achieve the enlightenment, but also have a negative effect.
다들 쇼가 니베티 강도 수단 잡았지. 너니 군이 맨다 현라 삼바타바이 쇼도 제벌 집어 쇼스. 다들 쇼가 니베티기 된다로 조디 가르쳐 있으나 소소 내 강도 대비네 자. 나는 저 강도 잡아인비네 자. 아니 뒤다도 소소人이 멤버 때네. 아니 현래야 님 타고니 가르쳐다지 그버 진고래서
The second verse is reads, whenever I'm in the company of others, I will regard myself as the lowest among all, and from the depth of my heart, cherish others as supreme. So in this, the advices that Geshe Lenada was giving us is, whenever, wherever you are, you constantly hold yourself lower than others, and you really generate a genuine respect to others.
다디 가수의 초진이 가수다 소수人멤버 때现在 초도 기본 진과 김선우 대 조대다 그러실라보다 딜에 빼르시 자위미나 남주인이 빼디 안다 자수 첨부래야 빼셔 자수 첨부 때 가라했잖아 안다 자수 첨부 때 사자 마살이야 그래서 아니 사자 마살이야 예외 인자 안다 자수 첨부 나로래야 지 사자 토사를 예외 지 추다 추진라서 되게 상황로마 사자 마살마 법지 안다 자수 첨부 나로래 야 타마타마 자수 첨부 나로래 왜 가지고 기시 돼야지 모르겠어. 제사 다는 신체제. 한다지 가지고 수수전이 멤버 때现在 초도 제번 준비입니다. 아니 선 등기 배드시 제 베스트 시합은 시 수수 연대기 자수 전부 더지 차토야지 다 간다. 미시행기 안데 연대인데 수수 지금 렌토야로 지금 가라서는 아주 삼성지 수송하게 없이 안 현래야 계속 제대로 시험이나 안 더지 현기 더 연대에서는 나도 현래 때는 아주 롭송라도 해야 돼 깔아 롭송 그거부터 수수까지 제가 안데 디균선 때네 근데 지 심지어 수도 정의미냐 더디지 롭송라지 그거지 용거래. 다 가르쳐 미수수수 삼도나 민자 안다지 줘봐. 계속민자들 용어되게 된 주산에 디가로 아주 로정차 지 고급지라고 하래. 제가 땡 아주 들리지 삼도나 들리지 통하네. 에 대비미나 안디 로정의 저거랬어. 근데 뭐임 체제 안다지 는 유의 삼로 배 수수 아게 첨부지 소수 기대 샤지 삼다나 에 로조라요 말았어.
So here why the Geshe-Len Tapa is emphasizing us to hold ourselves lower than others. This I think the best example is ocean. The ocean is usually on the lower ground than the other surfaces. So because of that, all waters goes to ocean, and it's really gathering all the kind of different waters. Because it's lower, it's naturally flowing, all these waters flowing into the ocean. Likewise, when you hold yourself lower than others, that gives you the opportunity to really receive all the knowledges and the education. Holding yourself lower than others gives you the opportunity to really learn and receive others' knowledge and teaching. This is just, I think, like an ocean, because the ocean is obviously lower than other surfaces. But on the other hand, if you kind of hold yourself, if you hold the pride, then it will kind of not provide you the opportunity to learn and to receive teachings from others. So the instruction here is saying, in your general attitude and behavior, Geshe-Len Tapa is teaching you how you really hold your ground so that it will be more beneficial to you. In this case, holding yourself lower than others so that you have more opportunity to learn and to receive teachings from others, learning others' qualities. So by holding yourself lower than others, it really helps you to get the good practice of others. 미세다 강연을 개쳐야만 제사 상로지 로전 체학 다 지식선이라도 시절을 두사려라 대위 뉴스한다 금들이야 정의를 멤버 따사디 소수 계수 제제 다 나야 뭐 말은 중거 말에 나라베 지 두자를 제삼 삼도아 든지실이야 스게요만
Kabdile member Tasadi, Susuranida, Lobson Simijima, Tadaji Kajureda, Be Ta Le Tambuba Sena Jandu, Kanda Tandu Ineji, Be Narsuya, Be Lord Jimasoneta, Lord Cherdrayu, Tandu Ineji, Yagendra, Kukushtayu, Tindijilia Susun Minzi Cheve Tone, and Susu Logo Cheche. 단도인의 수술 이야기 동하고 가수 이야기 동하 수술이야 하는지 가두임이네 수술기 수술이야 마상화디 지 다지 만지바다 마상화 가르여비네 디디지 가수지 차와를 지다 안다지 지 소프트웨어를 지든지게 상도하 다 들으지 그래. 대민주 산에 다 디규전 되네. 다 디 멤버 다 사대야. 지야 그소야디 치기 멤 가서에 뜻지고이네 된다데 야 지 고알렌다 만너르치고하데 계속 차대요. 된다 또또 딱 한다. 로종이 냐면 친구 중에는 셰베네. 다지 강가로지 수수기 로종 고급을 차려 로종 차 수수기 전주그 쓰면 정하게 정달 차 고급 주지 심지어 수도 정의입니다 심지어 수도지 도입니다 로종 차 고급을 차 다 고급 린스 마삼나 안에 고 저거 말봐 문진 세브 체지 들이지 그 토안에 안데 수수 삼론 두시 세브이나 아고 디 로종 저거 다디 삼론기 두시 세브면은 안 로저 러그레스 라비샤가 점시게 라토야 깔하고 제사 디균제되네 로저라 말았어야돼 안 수수에다 3년 2시 다외 계속 내려질 라레디 보자
So for the practitioners of a mind training, we really have to make this very clear why we hold ourselves lower than others. This really very important to understand this correctly. When we say that we hold ourselves lower than others, we are not kind of like self-humiliating ourselves. We're not doing that. Why then do we hold ourselves lower than others? There's a lot of benefit for doing that. First of all, we're kind of changing attitude. The attitude is that we are a beginner, we are a learner, we're still a student. And when you hold yourself as kind of a student, when you think of yourself as the beginner, and when you think of yourself as a fresh student, then it kind of opens the door to learn more and provide you this kind of attitude to really, that will help you to open the door to receive more knowledge. It gives you the opportunity to really access to knowledge. So this is the very important part of this attitude. Otherwise, if you merely read the word saying holding ourselves lower than others, it could be an easily misinterpretation for kind of holding yourself down. So obviously this is not for that purpose. By holding ourselves lower than others, it's almost equal to seeing ourselves as a beginner, the practitioners of the mind training, seeing ourselves the learning stage, seeing ourselves as the learner. And when you cultivate this kind of attitude, then it's opened the door for you, to be open-minded, to receive new knowledge, to receive new instructions. So that's the benefit of this verse.
다드네 수라가 숨바디 네 쇠랑 군두는 유라 도진 용문 게마 다심 머루 체베나 센터 돈에 더블 쇼스 소인바레 다디 가르스모르스나 장게베 죄람 탐세도 조사 년도라 써봐 예, 다 죄람 탐세도 안에 장게 가르래 장게 심규를 다시 시시 다시 시시 장게 심규의 요모 바단 제도다 민도 다 저기베 가르래 가두이네지 수술이야베 잘을 시시 손을 주지다 잘을 제스므로다 가르쳐도면도 딱시시 다 기시 용모바이 깨봐 통선은 대마타도 안다 용모베베 교연 챔버체제 안 되고 봐 센터스 용모보다 가고 그래서
So the third verse, in my every action, I will watch my mind, and at the moment destructive emotions arise, I will confront them strongly and avert them, since they all hurt both me and others. So in this verse, it's basically teaching you how you really conduct in everyday life, and how do you really monitor your thoughts. And basically the important advice here is you constantly monitor your thought, and when negative thought arises, you immediately crush them. You immediately deal with them. So make sure that you would not give the negative thought, the affliction in distinct opportunity to control you. And so here the important, I think, instruction is we constantly be vigilant and monitor our thought. As soon as a negative thought arises, we deal with it directly.
다지 니 사무야부 당과데 개춤차려요. 가르삼다 참선양 아주 지 최고로 쇼창에 미디기디 지 최고로 머슈고 미디줄에 캔산도 차도 지 삼동단디 지게 차도 체노지 지 삼동단데 남 중 미다미다지 가수다지 다지 가른 짐바체에서 말이야. 다지执着서 다지 짐바체지. 안 바바도지 수수직 최를 지기에 상상을 되는지 돈에야 나게 쳇거지. 되는 요한이야. 제가 네 준전된 아주 양내양도 수수기 심규 다지 수수기 다 인섭 롬데바 되긴 저거 다지 인섭네 전데바 되긴 저거 다디 전대번 능신지 롬대번 능신지 렌도면도 지 수수기 양양도 딱지지지 진짜가 토네 아니 수수수수를 슈다 당과데 개좀씩 차대요 그래서 다들 한수지 지지 최마 탐지기 랭게 조르지 안 라바로도지 로정이냐 면생의 증언의 셰베이미나 다들 개좀 차대요 그래서
This verse is especially relevant for the Dharma practitioners because if we really not carefully monitor our thinking and behavior, sometimes we even tend to be more, I think, negatively afflicted than the others. Sometimes we're thinking that we are Dharma practitioners, and naturally it kind of creates the false perception. And in reality, we, the Dharma practitioners, tend to be more, if you like, afflicted by the attachment, by the grasping mind. And therefore, this is really very important for the Dharma practitioners, especially for the student of mind training. Constantly monitor our thought and make sure that our thought is not afflicted. Because we constantly, how do we know that we are not affected by our afflictions. The only way we can know that is by constantly being vigilant and monitoring our thinking and our behavior. So here, the important advice is this very strong vigilance, and by doing that, then it will help you to prevent yourself from falling into the trap of Dharma practitioner.
This guy helps. Anzuji, when it's in the Mune, Pio Tensi tending Zina. And then you mock a do guesson. Takoraji Paji Kotswar Shure. That the minute that you mock yes, that Yamata Jisa gets Hana Sazar, that the name, and the Lamsa doors at Tuzukra, the Jessa, the name Dusane. That the做那个话都要的啥呢？啊，就是还有这些没被影响。确实呢，第一个就是点呢，啊，就是车辆都是用我们，但是第不如的嘞，牛毛肩嘛他都，但是刚才我看嘛就是不中是来了，但是第一次那告诉南岛呀用过多呢，这用嘛他都嘛是，告诉他是搞笑事情。가에 두고 말아 봐. 아. 안데 주산에 다들 아주 지 바이오 전시에 대마다 지 초신 되지원이야.
And in the verse here, it says, as soon as negative thoughts arise, we directly tackle them. So this is really hard thing really to do for us. To really be able to do this, we have to have a constant vigilant, the mindfulness and awareness. And when the mind training teaching saying, as soon as the affliction arises, you have to crush them, you have to tackle them immediately. We cannot do that without creating this mindfulness and awareness into our daily habit. And if we be vigilant and constantly mindful of our actions, our thoughts, then we can maybe avoid being controlled and driven by affliction. We remember in the mind training teaching, usually they use the word burjum, like tackle them spontaneously, crush them immediately. But one cannot do that without being mindful of our action and thought. So the important practice here is we constantly be aware of our thought, constantly be mindfulness, our action.
다디 가르쳐서나 다 미세도 지기 런싱에 봤을 시간에 봐 미시간에 봤던데다 시간에 봐요 bessemje 지 믿는데다 안다 하나 신기 디고도 동해 작업에 내는데 봐미 디고 참았는데 디고 좀 사셔 근데다 지 디고 참보다 내 잡신 머루와 내 잡신 사샤 근데다 아니 저 동해 작업에 내는데 봐 루심기 동해 작업에 내는데 봐 근데기 심지어 통에 겁이야 다지 수술을 삼 그리스도한 것이나 rinchen dan cheba shis tadi beta ngara thoba mebe khogab ju thawson sambar chesi niji thon da ganda kaswe taji di khogab di aje chuzu ma ro shi de khogab de peje ne ngazu simjen de le jeban jin ya dang simjen de la chamni ji ko ma da di che ho re so
So the fourth verse, whenever I see ill-natured beings or those overwhelmed by heavy misdeed or suffering, I will cherish them as something rare, as though I'd found a priceless treasure. So here, ill-natured, or the most important advice is that when we come across with a really difficult person, really ill-natured, someone who's really suffering a lot from their past misdeed, someone who's really going through a lot of suffering physically and mentally. And how to really set the mindset for these people? The advice here is we should see them like as if we found a priceless treasure. Why? Because meeting this like a very ill-natured, difficult people, it gives us the most rare opportunity, really, to practice our compassion, practice our
제가 로종 냠는 신의 진병원의 시합입니다. 근데 개시슈디 간다 심지행기人性 컨디션이네. 人性 상의 컨디션이네. 창으로 지 수수기 가지고 당도 렌토야지다. 디들야다지 배 거수를 제지 당고 컨디션이네. 심지 컨디션이들야지. 가신 조신의 배 탄내체다.这是上面是古话了。제자들이 디균제되는다 미세다 이네 지당아 저人心 상부인바 시가 상부에 민들레다 냠도 로야랑 아주 강해요만 따이네 시가 녀버야 돼 수수 시가다 배 해봐 침부야 돼 지기 가서다지 대 수수 시가다 다지 양다 침부야 돼 근데 미치 토요나 안다 아주래디 아주지 강해지 돼요 아다 챌린지 서면 다 아주리야 다디기 아주 디즈 구조시던 거 제가 디두스탄에 안다지 로종 냠내 제한 돈다 디두 채고랬어 간다디 종다를 채야지 로 종다를 채네 닝도 채동하지 수수기 샘데베 닝도 채동하지 누가 채 공도로 동하지 이미 디두스탄에 다들 지금 수수기 갑대는데 미유도디 니지 다 미세지 토연두스탄에 아니 수수기다 니버대야지 수수기 로이 니버대야지 뒤주디 뒤들레버스 다 뒤들대야면도나 난 유지 로종 인시제 지 기부 대로 유지산에다지 인도 가버로 제대하지다 안 다들 미상보도 토연 미지다미 야보도 토연두산 지다미 토연두 야타주인데 버시 다 뒤평겨 네 두산 뒤균센테네 아이가주기 로이 뉴버스란다도 닝도스란다도 야나죠 로제스란다 따디 쳐다 공포다 근데 돈에 다간다 심진 순저지냐 창으로 지 당도 렌토야지 드리지기 삼바지 깨고요 그래서
So in this teaching, the Geshe-la Tapa is saying that we have to, especially the student of mind training practices, we really have to accept both the good-natured people as well as ill-natured people. We really accept them. We happily accept all sentient beings with a different nature. And usually for us, we have no problem accepting good-natured people. For us, it's like a bit of a challenge to accept ill-natured people, especially if they are very different from our own background and personality. Then why is it important to accept ill-natured people and be delighted about it? This is because these ill-natured people appear to us as ill-natured, but in reality, they're giving us a really opportunity to put our mind training practice in action. This is because when we come across good-natured people, we don't have that much effect they don't have that much effect on us. But when we come across ill-natured people, it has a huge kind of effect on us. They affect us. When that kind of effect taking place, then it is the time that we really trigger our mind training forces, mind training practices, and really change our mindset. And these ill-natured people really kind of inspire us to put our mind training into practices. They really encourage, they help us to improve our practices, improve our spiritual development, if you like. And so meeting these ill-natured people give us opportunity to improve our spiritual practices. And therefore, it's a rare opportunity. And for us, it's more beneficial to come across ill-natured people. This really helps us, our Dharma practice.
안다 즉 다시 해야지 미두자를 세제 안다 즉 최다를 시작으로 듣기지 말아요. 급딜이야 아주지 초에 나눠로지 라버도 그냥 아주지 남기 수수의 치레데 미장 나눠래지 수수 김상 나눠래 언니 좀 먹어요. 이 파마다 다는 지 사상다 다는 지부 가수다지 다는 수수 다지 초보다 이제 거로 잡아 나서지 가야 망고 치원이요. 어떤 디두산 당아주기 디스베주 당통이 하고 셔마 디기들이야 로종 마곰체 안 배콘로체 다 로종디 땅에 미베 그 신앙자로지 용거를 텔랑에 로종치기 사바로치제 로종디 다 가수로다지 수수기 미진나로라 다대기 내금들이야 배주해야 되지 마음받지 책임이지 초신다지 지인사데 다다돼요. 제사다지 연주사네 다 되게 로정사데 수수익 남윤에다지 땅에 유예돼 봐. 어디 되게 토려야 아주 배주당 두고 하데 개좀 차려. 대 배주당 뭐도지 마음받지 책임. 나지 다른 신기다 야보치 마음발에 야보치 미신 현바지 두자 총소나 안에 야보치 인서서를 뒤지고요.
So when we talk about these ill-natured people, how do we find them? Do we wait for them? Do we look for these ill-natured people? This is not the case here. What we have to do is we really have to look at the immediate people surrounding us, our family members, our friends, our partners, and so on. And when they really are going through tough times, when they really going through kind of a difficult time, and because of that, under stress, when they really acting inappropriately or challengingly, and we have to use our mind training practices to really deal with them. And we really do not need to wait for these scary people, these ill-natured scary people to come to practice our mind training, or we do not really wait this for future, but really we have to put our mind training practices now with the people we're living with, people who are immediate to our surroundings or our network, and we put these mind training practices against people that we constantly share our lives. So the emphasis here is practice it now with people who are surrounding you, rather than looking for outside of your circle and future.
나는 라나야 신다기지 가서 차도 왕기 지 가수다 지 치 미년 바 매하다 구원 다발라서 봐 근데 그다지 왜 니즈 돈의 셰비나 지 김젠다 미덴바 니루 매바 근데 니즈 수수기 토리아 근데 니즈 충분히나 다디 니즈 중두산 디갑리아 디게리아 지 가수야 수수기 다지 아주 경수수래 걔가 시행을 묘고 그래서 그래서
So the verse, whenever someone out of envy does me wrong by attacking or belittling me, I will take defeat upon myself and give the victory to others. So in this, basically out of jealousy, people are criticizing us, and people are gossiping about us. People are really talking negatively about ourselves behind. And when these things happen, the advice here is like we take the defeat and offer them the victory.
다 네가래야 다 지당기 시간에 봐 예대비 미팅제 예비네 아니 소소는 윤대와 시험에 지디고라 소소 내게 맞겠네 아주 디 이게 소소를 강해서 개쳐요 안 다른 신기 미지기다 레 잡지에를 그라 레 머루어 잡지 스타일에 대야 소소를 데버지 메디 안디 당아주 미세들이야 강해서 개 통과 다른 지 미지 동에 나자 괜찮아. 근데 쇼션부 좋은데 있는. 다디 수술 되면은 다디 거랑 당뇨만 샤샤래. 다이네 미지기 수술라. 미세 수술래. 되니 서말 미니. 다고지 제용나. 지 담이지 제용나. 지 10年吧写. 안 다른 신기지 머루지 제용나. 아니 신이 지 수술 니를 세제. 다 지 가수의 신의지 될래야 주 수수익이 개르게 따당을 좀 민자르지 온대야지 용어로 봐. 근데 딱급 디디사네 엔다 아주 야지 로종이 냠내 근데서 쳐오래서 급 디디스 아무 근데서 나오래서 계속 차비요.
Generally, when ill-natured people around us, people who are, heavily affected by negative thoughts and so on, or whatever they do, when these actions are not related to us immediately, we don't have that much kind of reaction to them. But as soon as these ill-natured people attack you, as soon as their, if you like, the target is us, then it triggers our affliction, it triggers our negative reaction. And so in this verse, Geshe Langta was teaching, when these ill-natured people are really causing problems directly to us, that's relating to directly to us, how do we really handle them? How do we cultivate attitude toward the people who are directly criticizing us, who are really harming us, if you like? So this is the essence of the verse here. The advice here is we accept the defeat, we offer the victory to others. This advice is one of the most common advices that goes through all the other man training teachings.
kyong lenge de gega tresa di kyong lenge de gega tresa di an yune azu miji de samma madachi khasa ji de samma madachi ji zo zo di kyong lenge sa di kyong lenge sa di anda ran jin jin di ing go le ba kyong de ge tu che wo bes gega pyu sa de gega pyu sa di xian jie ben zin bi sem de gega pyu tu che wo dan do na xian jie ben zin bi sem de kaduine control 동도야지 다 란제번 집에 셈디 가두이네 딱 한다 거지 랑 코나 제번 집에 셈스고다 랑 코나 제번 집에 셈디 가두이네 딱 한다 거지마 말도야지 근데 지고 알았어 다 조조 근데 지 삼동아 개좀 신아 차려 맞아요 가시에 삼내 나라래 지 경다 개가서 제스 두산에 가사지를 삼동하네 근데 지 삼동아 다들 저진 삼삼 대삼다는 저요 아래디 이내야 네 조조디 검들이야 아주 로조 냠렌치 아래 가사지를 경청도다 개청어디 아주 셈리시다 용구 당토야 깔아가버려 다 조조된 아주 셈리야 용구 당토야지 સમર તાજી લાવર તો રાંચિંજી sem તેલે ગુજો તો થયા છે શેંચિંજી sem દી કોમે તો થયા છે તેરી કુહારસ.
So here in this verse, one of the most important questions is to whom we offer the victory, who accept the defeat. And this is the really important question. In this really context, we're not talking about a person. The emphasis is not on person, but who accept the defeat or who accept the victory. And that the subject, we have to think really carefully. The subject here is we should really shift from the focus from person to the thinking. We make sure that by improving our cherishing others' mind, really decreasing the self-cherishing mind. So by really we offer the victory to cherishing other thinking, and we offer defeat to the self-cherishing mind. So the most important thing is really to transform our self-cherishing mind toward cherishing others. So the victory and the defeat is related to these two cherishing thoughts, but not to a person. If you focus on the person, it's not very meaningful. But when you focus this like offering the victory to the cherishing others, offering a defeat to the self-cherishing thought, then it will help us to really transform these two sets of thinking. And when you do that, then the effect is enormous. So the emphasis, like when you think about what is the subject of the offering victory, it is the cherishing others' thought. That should really be cherished.
답변은 아주 상담이에요. 미지기 소소 검주르게. 다 검주 전부 검주 가지고 교매발에 인주 전부시. 교매발에 네버 주고리. 경아지 제바지 검주 전부시게. 다 검주 전부 제두산에 다디 검주디 수수 네버의 쿠르지. 어떤 네버의 수수키 제매에 있는 다디 네버등의 제 교환돼 버렸어. 안다 교환 가서 고란을 배고하러 가려네 디바 너버도 깡 다데 그 가서주산 타고 지 오늘 되게 타고 지수 삼내 나로 땅해지 오늘 다지 셴페지 조인사선 드니지기 다 셴페기 좀 땅해지现在给个什么学习这边应当上路，这里这个诉讼案件都是结，那没事，大概呗，可能没现大个，捐没完了，捐助这钱不的呢，可上可这钱不的，是没得了帮，诉讼等打，打可说这说这个马街吧，这眼钱边上路，这里这个龙山路给这钱边呢，打这个，把这。表面上什么的吧，怕打死了呀，大概 시안라 기가제 경수술래 드리체 미다살라 이나 미다살라 드리레데 이나 거기 셈나로라 숨규리야 드리지 경수술래 알아서나 레야마다 그디 란진지 총을 따도야마 란진지 휴셔다 얘들이 시작이 당아 디스 가르에 최바 상부지 약부지 소소부지 리청을 치자 딘디지 제백 가르 파다츠엘이야 담망정기 다지 캐르 케시안지 가서야 안에 보거랑 그래야 디평가 말았어 된담랑 그 심규일이야 간다라 시에마체와서 말되지 간다랑 오늘 전에 심 나로래야 안다기 건수변한 신기 따지 다다 시엔디 제보잡도야지 들으지 고고 알았어
So, like cherishing others, we have to increase that, and then self-cherishing is an example. There is a lawsuit accusing you of doing a lot of wrongdoings without any evidence, without any justification. And you say, oh, I'm a practicing student, I'm going to accept the defeat, let me offer you the victory. And people say, wow, great, he actually, offered the victory to others and accepted, although it's wrongly accused. But then you have this natural pride. I did good. Here, the practice is when others who we have a great help, who we really help, who we really put a lot of investment, and when they are mistreating us, so the effect on us is very different from normal people, right? Someone that you've been really caring, someone you really treat really well, and then out of blue they're mistreating you. And with this result, when you're feeling really sad, then how do you view these people? We should view them as a great spiritual teacher.
안다지 소수기 원에 지내가 딱 간다 가수에 소수기 따지 견세나 자도 소수기 남유 딱 간다지 원세 되면 소수기 견창서 말에 소수기 견창 리야 견칭이 그렇지 된지지 총소나 다데 계획신이 그렇지 원에 버짓이 차리 마도는 유다 계신이 망고시 제베이미네 그 제베 걸려야 다베지 선바기부로 지다 안다지 가부를 충분해 이내다 수수기 다지 가수에다捐통화로에 지 수수기 다지 야게 통화라 얘다捐리고로 다 통화로에서나 갈라하고래 아 안드레인 비슷한데捐선되네 안다지 수수기 견상에 버리야 견신이 진짜지 총소나 나데 요신이 오늘 차리 그랬어.
So what is a true spiritual teacher? True spiritual teacher doesn't come with a great name, doesn't come with the belt and vajra, but indeed they come with someone who really help us to recognize our weakness, our fault. A true spiritual master really help us to recognize our weakness, really sometimes even trigger our weakness so that we can deal with it. So that's, I think, a person as a true and a great spiritual teacher. Why? Because they help you to recognize your wrongdoings, recognize your afflictions. And they really become the condition for you to recognize your fault. That's why, they are a true spiritual teachers. Without really knowing your weakness, you cannot improve yourself. So a good spiritual teacher really help you to recognize, sometimes even really become aware of your weakness and fault, actions and thinking. Because they are really truly more powerful on you to improve yourself.
안다는 신기 가수라다지 초전에 교육 차는데 다 윤된 차에 다른지네 계획신이 근데 제가 대한시 안지 소수의 다지 윤된 서머로 다지 응아르메베 윤된 지금 아버지 도토야르지 가수다지 다 뭐마 하마고데 다 내려ren도 아삼사로지 다지 문신토야르지 하지 요거로 다 이내 때깔아 가보시라네 가르사나 나란솔라 교회에 연대 교회에 연대니 제 교회 망아 나절 연대 망에 강해요 말 교회 망에 강해 제사 디균선 때에 다 교회 망고学위 인도스탄다 다지 교회디 다 리신 조조네 배지 배 아바마데 배지 부려야 그 뒤에는 지시에는 디드금이도 비르드금이도 세세 지저거 상황시에 된 게들이 지스가 말아 계획신이 사다 디드금이도 비르드금이도 세세 된 지나다 디빙어 말 조조의 경기배 자와로데 경험으로데 가려봐 된 주수수 된 통계 반 주주니 무슨 전제 안 주주 된 통계 되지 다 계획신이었어 लबने मंच भी हमारा जैसा ती क्यों चलते हैं आधा आजू की दिनेश की काशुरा था तथा ती काशु सुसु जदा कौन सी बने ताती शोलों के तीन अंते आते और दिनेश जो सुसु की रवाच में ये मिजी की नबा क्या हिंदुस्तान है अन्य शीने तो जो सुसु कोबे नालो लें जिन्हें यूंची सांबोर यूना यूबी ने आते हैं ता लूबुर दोते हैं 직배 가르로다지 도자 상물로야 더용 우유 뒤스타는 다 뒤스타는 엔다 가르로에 엔다지 뒤스타는 엔다 딘저비기 괜찮은데 계획신이 삼삼.
So a great teacher, of course, I mentioned someone who really helped us to recognize our weakness. The great teacher, a true great teacher, also someone who brings out our good qualities. They're also a great teacher. Great teachers are someone who really brings out our good nature, who help us to improve our nature. So that's is also a great teacher. But then this is much harder because we have more, if you like, weakness than strength. We have more affliction than, if you say, antidote. So great teacher, when we see them, and it's really bringing out the weakness and bring them out so that we can recognize our fault, recognize our weakness. And the teachers who really have this kind of a condition, who offer a condition for us to do that, is very meaningful for us. It's like a hugely beneficial to us. And therefore, we see them as a great teacher. So here, exactly, the great teacher is not just like a parent who kind of telling the kids what to do, saying, you have this problem, you have that problem. This is not a great teacher. A great teacher is someone who really kind of naturally help to bring out both our good qualities as well as our negative qualities. And so people who we put a lot of investment and hope, and when they mistreat us, they really help us to take out our negative fault. So that's what they And the seventh verse, in brief, directly or indirectly, I will offer help and happiness to all my mothers, and all their hurt and suffering.
제외 다 냠네 디바 단도나 공도 시에지 상으로 단도나 지 다신 냠버다 안드네 다신 제외 배 냠네차 나 디난 두여 인두스타 디준센데 수수기 람나응스 안데더 마존나 규니 엔지 수수기 팬데몬류가 탐지 아니 시행선배 탐지를 표현해 아니 시행선배 탐지게 너바도 동해 탐지 안다 사회 다는 렘버쇼스 라비스탄에 다데 상와사 데레 딱 부규지 다 간다 사회권에 다는 렘버쇼스
So here, the verse 7, say in brief, meaning all the other practices that we mentioned above is for the purpose of really practicing these. This is the actual, training or the instruction. It's an exchange of self with others. And so this is also the pithy instruction here. I'm saying that in idle situation, obviously, directly you take others' suffering upon yourself. If you're not able to do that, maybe indirectly you do that. And basically, you're offering all your good fortunes and qualities to others and accepting their misfortune and the sufferings up into yourself. So here they mentioned the secret.
The church in Mardi and that campus and that's its own. She charge matter. Umadi Chuma, Macaras, Mitsame, the Chetumaro. Church in there. That church in Karasana. Saya gonna never say Taji Tashin, Simja Tamje, Shem, Pendipu, and did never near never in Jisimje Jigam, Anna Jisimje Suda Jigim in a Digi, never Su Leata, Pendipapua, the sound to Susuki, Jishengi Hama over Chen. Tinicha Mata Beji, Shengi Hako Chen, Bej, Nurse Tobachen, Angeki, Tashin Jigi Dachi. 안다지 베 디바지 다신 제아디 소수 지 지부샤 저 소수 야부야 지다 소수 민년나로 딘디지게 티체도 냠내잖아 데 저거 미망베기를 당에 다신 냠지 공부에 다 지제 딘디지네 베 가르다 베 용자를 베 세다시 딘디지 냠내자 메 데 상회관 미신다 하마고 지 아나 딘디지 냠내치고
So here, when Geshe Langye Tapa said, in secret, I practice this exchange of self with others. The secret, it has a lot of meanings. Primarily, why you do this in secret? First of all, the previous Katan masters, the Katan masters, they tend to really keep this in secret because this practice is not something everyone can do that. Right? Not everyone is really tuned to implement this kind of action, so they keep this in secret. Another meaning for secret is that you practice this in secret without letting others know, because if you kind of announce your action to everyone saying, hey, I'm exchanging myself with others, I'm offering all my good things for others, I'm taking the sufferings to myself, this really this is not something you do in public. It may have a negative consequences if you do that in public. Maybe brings more pride and so on.
다지 팬데 탐지지 소소로 가야 돼. 현심자 탐지를 필수하디. 다지 사무동단으로 배낭 안으로 차셔면 안으로 가야 돼. 현심자 탐지를 제토로 했어. 다지 사무동안에 배는지 소소리에 배나 지 조디 삼도아디 성신 응어보 딘데기 토네 삼도아데 가가버시라래샤 비지 소소를 가야바디 미심자 탐제 제스나 다지 소소를 신도지마도면 디심자 탐제라 가르스 제오 그봐 디심자 탐제라 지를 제나다 니와데 도구 말봐 안드레 인두스탄에 디 참상 아주 상다데 베 다딩상 무비긴 진다 첨부여베 인자 란다지 팬디 퓨스두산 소소 가르여베 잘라디 상로 피쇼사르지 데네지 삼도하지 요미스 말 감딜에 조데 규자라다 규노론주 딘데 계지 말해 조디랑게 류아 이수 엔지 심자 탐제라 팬도여베지 되어야지 다 딘데지 차디 오늘 전지 심자 탐제기 체도 수수기 다 류아 이수 피하디 이 뒤소에 말해 뒤체 수수 매바체 안 뒤체 수수 가서도지 배 쇼로 겹체 드네 체비면 안에 다디 지 수수기 팬데 담제 심자 담제를 피부도 지고를 차 에 제마도 잘라 저거 가시 봐때 다 얘는 지 수수기 다 류아 예순데 지 수수 체도 봐 딱고 겹체 대샤마 한다 오늘 전에 기다 지 가르에 팬데 담제 비수수 유자라 예제베 퓨제 베 수수 돌아 참아 퓨 안 마라마간 체제 대대나야 다디 전주스면 냠내 차도 약간 하우샤래.
So when we say we offer all our good fortunes and wealth to others, we shouldn't really think of this purely from materialistic point of view, because if you think materialistically, it's almost impossible. If you have one piece of fruit, how you're going to divide this to all other sentient beings? Because of this strong attachment to materials, we sometimes kind of overemphasize on material things. Here, I think the advice is offering your body, mind, speech, the three doors, for others' benefit by really doing good deed, really kind of utilizing your three doors for the benefit of other beings. And if you do that, this is something doable and it's meaningful. Otherwise, if you just kind of think this materially, then like you can offer all your clothes to other people and yourself, stay naked. And that's something, is not doable. So when we think about the exchange of ourselves with others, we should be utilizing our body, mind, speech for the benefit of others, really. Otherwise, if you just try to offer whatever the limited material you have for others and not really using your three doors for the benefit of others, it's not a proper way of doing the exchange of oneself with others. So the instruction here is focusing from material to your body, other sentient beings. And then the verse 8, the final verse, I'll learn to keep all these practices untainted by thoughts of the 8 worldly concerns. May I recognize all things as like illusion.
다 간다고 섭섭만 세비미나 지 최계는 드레스야. 드레스 비스마르. 다 가리미네 고 가르스베. 소수기 남동에 받은 드레스 바로. 지 최계는 드레스 받아. 로버트하는 드레스 받아. 다 이제 이미 인도스탄에 디균센테네 아니 최계 팀에 마바. 안디 토래야. 최탐지다 유머시에 관해 로버트와 주면 마바바 되지 관하다 냠내체도 의미나 아니 신내지 문진기 친환의 죄도바 순진기 친환의 죄도바지 용어래서.
So the instruction for the verse 8 is saying that when we implement the mind training practices, if we are not careful, it can easily be influenced by the 8 worldly concerns. And therefore, in order to really overcome this, we really constantly monitor and be vigilant, make sure that our practice is not tainted by the 8 worldly concerns, including attachment, the misconception, and so on. Also, the second instruction is by seeing things as like illusions, it will help us to overcome our these wrong views, our aversions in phenomena. So by really seeing them as illusions, help us to really get the correct view and free us from attaching to the mistaken
나는
views.
인주산에 그 감들의 동이 따와서는 장도. 다 진짜게 그 동이 따외 따와 다 주세 덴버레스라는 뜻이 지금은 좀 삼정도.
So here, this verse is also talking about the shunyata, emptiness.
坚持到现在，应该现在这样。这样，劝他们去啊，可是老人。 当然就是先把忙不喜欢的呀的，早土色了的，但是那就是先把，大看到去，大看书还说他去，对，还说他就对下写了，那大个时候是俺这落了呀去，但是牛毛忙不喜呀去当，俺先把忙不喜欢的，早土色了的光土地儿是吗？俺电子了的土地儿，电不能怎么？学他们这边电注入的资料。 俺那去说说了呗，那我能先去约上去，这里这个看到电不弄的，电不进的，贴了电呢，当然做了，用了忙不喜欢的啊，是。这里第一运转电呢，它这里电面都大的，区根电面都大的，俺那个电这边它就用了这个塞下来呀，区根电面都大的，给起学的是。
I think one of the primary reasons that we have this very strong affliction, such as attachment, hatred, and so on, is come from our view, the wrong view, holding this intrinsic nature in phenomena. And we believe that things exist intrinsically. We believe in their true nature and so on. And this really wrong view creates many problems, and including really triggering and reinforcing our attachment and so on. So to free this wrong view, we study and practice emptiness.
이나 참참 아저지 뭐베 니수 고 가라이네면에 지 뭐베 니수리아 한 최담지에 템버 초베 이나 미나 다디 초진에 계신버라 초진에 아주 시다라지 편도시다 메딩에 그렇죠 지 최담지 뭐베 니수를 템버 마레스라비네 아주 편도시다 민도 간당 아주기 다대기 진당들이야 요아간 로문도 电电注入进的，我没对电电注入进的了，电电注入嘛，电把主要嘛嘞，上的我怎么些偏高嘛？这当他做的，还说的这，说的，这他这个，进到了这里，开发了所图呢，他的开发了是电电用的就是。
So here we're talking about really looking correctly how things exist. We are looking that things exist not intrinsically. We really investigate how truly phenomena exist. But if we just say, oh, everything exists non-inherently. Everything is not exist intrinsically. By just merely saying that and thinking that, it sometimes kind of didn't have any effect on us. Because although we say things exist, the things lacking intrinsic nature, say, oh, everything lacks intrinsic nature, and by thinking that, and if we do not really utilize that meaning to change our perception, it doesn't help us. But how truly the study of Shunyata help us is when we transform our attitude, when we change the way we view things, and then it will be much more beneficial.
타부 그 덴베 순지 야메 타불라지 샤데요. 다 콜레 균진 그 로마 가시죠. 디난다 베지 칠레 체슈에르데 파모 주바데. 디시 파모 주바. 디시 파모 주바디 코란 담보 안가다 딱 가담베 차서서 지 가담베 셰다티 주나 베시 시라가 다지 낭베게 필로소피 스마로 다지 낭비 친이兄弟들이야 로정 시라나 안급디 두산에 코란기 좋아 가두이네지 좋아지 가르고서 가두이네다지 좋아르지디 요아레 스타티 가라서 코웨기 아주 검성 코알레 참과 그 규르디 코웨기 자와르 디 가르레스 다 가두이네데 좋아디 공이와 요디요레 제가 공다 로만 베진리아 베스 로미에 체베 걸리네 안 공기 얘기한데 소리 겁디도 사네 별이야다 년라지행기 얘기 망고 쇼는 겁디도 다 고난수 체 슈모체 안 고난수 근지 슈이 코에 자와 가르레스 겁디사네 안 코에 자와서 머리버레스 다 지금 드시 망고 째거버다 다이네 콘리아 드시 망고 째거버데 이네티 콘 셈리아 펜도시라라 하마죠 다 디제래야 안 공기 빼서 따르듯이 갈라간서 산네 안 다지 냠내지 중고주 냠내지 사나 라마사게버 침부 군류니 자르네 사게 사게버 침부 군류니 자르네 안 다지 냠내 최든지 쉬든지 셰버 카둘레 안 다지 사신 공간이 뭐 인지래 제가 공략 간지 쉬시 안 코웨기 자와 카레스 간지 쉬스다네 안 공기 렌지 겨네 다 렌딩에 들어서 정도도 가다 되게 공을 펜도 심부죠 오만에 그러나 빼졌단 로전 제일 겁래 안 되다 공기 렌디 공다 셈라 숙체 초체 되죠 다 되네 치소 다 고랑기 새로 내가 저와 얘기해 라마테 다불라지 인자 다불라지 군류라 안 공자네 안 쉬쉬가 치매 그래
So I wanted to talk a history or story. You know that the founder of the Tapu Kagyu is the Tapu Haji. Tapu Haji is the lineage founder of the Tapu Kagyu, and he is his student Pangmo Drupa, who really studied with many different colleges, studying the Buddhist philosophy and the dialectic and so on. And he constantly asked people, what causes samsara? What is the root of samsara? So that's his question. And he has many famous teachers. I'm not going to mention them here. And he put this question to everyone. And he really didn't find a satisfactory answer. And then later he approached a Sakya master. I think it's a Sakya Ungka Ningpo. And all before that, he also studied and he put a lot of time on practices, and still didn't really find this satisfactory answer to the root of the samsara. And then he went to Sakya master, Sakya Ungka Ningpo, and the Sakya master's answer was very useful. And then his kind of close and rude guru is still a Tapu Haji, because they have a strong karmic relationship. So he went back to Tapu Haji.
根本的实诚。那大家可以说大使他的回答这里不太细的是什么，但是从泡沫出来大使他的形容中，他说当时他得到的这个回答的时候，他觉得非常非常的有感觉，非常的受用。那在之后呢，他又接着去指导高多巴大师，这是他一生当中最主要的这种这个法源的因缘的这么，都是因缘的这么一位高多巴大师。
各地的山呢，他们主要干部把家住的山呢，3岁了，先岁就到干部把地的山呢，长不起的，长不全的，长不的，按照排排长不是长不的多钱，长不多岁的时候了吧？好到的长不全的手里啊，是那干部被按那的他们出来的，按古兰给大家录剧了。当我妈妈这些人这些，俺就觉得缺肯定学的，缺人们这些人，多吧，就多吧的就是赔钱，然后可能就人家多吧的开始缺的，这是凶人。俺这就是啥呢？干不呗？他叫那个他，那边都是他，这里那个把多少人的。叫人家多不得了，眼光的人大钱了是，该从么子叫人家多不得用嘛了是。我到这个地区上呢，大家都讲这里送的，他说今年讲大几，唐不几，我说说我这用过了，大家说说我这是没上过了，这全部人是老古多的上。这些人钱的钱，老是全部钱，这些的人用的啥意思？老了，大天都是光叫了，大光老上当然了，他叫人看马来是了，当然给他这俺爷都第是假。俺第一天嘞，俺光他跟着训，但俺个对那个主要节是的，主要节的，后面给早晚的开始是跟着训，后面早晚开始跟着训的啥？后面早晚的。결혼하기 다대 셈들이었어. 다대기 결혼하기 셈들이었어. 나가 지금 총아 침부 중. 다가라는 지 가서 똑바로 총지. 가라서나 나 머리 버려 지금 레니데 머리 버스는 양 별로종식으로 머리 버때 가라이미. yang kapa desi kachi daru cheje ko mari bade kandre redu mindu tani ene susu ge dade semdi deyo che mari basendi pege che debe she ji karso da je ru shi che rogo du san di dade semde gu jo sha ja tu da dade semde re la ju da mari basene da da mari bon di ka mari bas dade semdi mari barwa je sa ka mari bade ko 组织送人就是啥呢？他果然从全部是大熊人。我到电那些钱呢，俺最上面多少的，电煤啥的，线啥的，天天就上面多花钱。这个他俺最电出入的人的啊，哪的啊，他的西巴可能完了时候就加过了嘛的，现在电煤的，那么像蒙古钱的，这的那么像这个，他对一个什么电信的。sem de le ya ne to ya de kal khabsha
So Tapulaji wanted wanted to see Tapulaji Gambuba, and Gambuba was eating tsamba actually. They make tsamba dough, and he's eating the tsamba, and Gambuba briefed Tapulaji about his progress in study and his experience and his realization and so on. And having really fully debriefed the Tapulaji about his all the progress he made, Gambuba said, your realization and experience is nothing. That's the response. This piece of the tsamba dough is more meaningful and powerful than your realization, more valuable than your realizations. Upon hearing this reply, it really can help Gambuba to reduce his pride. And then Gampopa, as he did with many other teachers, put forward his question, saying, what is the root of the samsara? And Gampopa immediately replied, saying, the root of the samsara is your present mind. Your mind, your current, the present mind is the root of the samsara. And that answer really affected Gampopa a lot. Instead of saying the root of the samsara is ignorance, and if Gampopa replied that way, then it may not be helpful to Pamudrupa, because then he has to study what is ignorance, how do we understand ignorance. So he will be looking again object and subject kind of relationship. But when Takunlaji Gampopa said, your current state of the mind is the root of the samsara, then he immediately started looking inward. He started kind of rather than outward approach, he started inward approach, investigating the nature of the mind. And that really helped him to attain realization, and it really helped him to transform his self-grasping mind. And so like this one, when we talk about the emptiness as just lacking intrinsic nature, and then we will start looking outwardly. We try to investigating what is the phenomenon, what is the difference between the intrinsic and free of intrinsic nature, and so on. So as we continue to investigate outwardly, it would have a very limited effect in our internal attitude. But rather, if we really look at the nature of the intrinsic inwardly, to really investigate what is the true nature of the phenomenon, but what is how our mind grasps it. So the important here is like when we investigate how our mind grasps this intrinsic nature of a phenomenon, then this will be much more helpful. So here, I think the important thing is that we do more than just intellectual studies. So this concludes our teaching on the 8 verses for mind training. In this afternoon, we go with the Green Power Empowerment. So now we're doing a dedication prayer. sorry. Can you understand a little bit?
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
他必须他是来学习了，他可以，但是这个人如果你这个呢，你听不清。